Technically, we already saw Batman make his DCU debut in Creature Commandos, but his real, full-on, live-action introduction is still coming in the movie that's currently going by the working title The Brave and the Bold. And yeah, I say working title for a reason because we honestly don't know if that's what the movie will be called in the end. Just look at what already happened. Superman Legacy got renamed to just Superman. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow also got rebranded, so it really wouldn't surprise me at all if James Gunn decides to play it safe and go with something simpler for this one too, like Batman and Robin. I'm serious, that wouldn't shock me in the slightest. But for now, what we've got is The Brave and the Bold. This is going to be the first project that properly introduces Bruce Wayne in the DCU, and so far we know almost nothing. No actor, no solid story details, nothing official yet. All we really have are fan discussions, because pretty much every actor out there would love to play Batman. For a lot of them, it's a dream role. And Gunn knows exactly how important this is. The DCU is still super young. Right now, we basically have just one big theatrical movie, not counting the shows. Batman, along with Superman, is the face of this whole franchise, so the casting is going to be insanely strict. I'm sure they're looking for someone who can stay in the role for a long time. We've already seen how David Corenswet kind of appeared on fan casting lists before he was officially announced as Superman, and it wouldn't be shocking if the same thing is happening right now with Batman, that maybe his name is already floating around and we're just waiting for Gunn to make it official. Fans keep throwing out different names, some want Brandon Sklenar, others think Adam Driver would be a great fit. One of the most popular picks is Alan Ritchson, especially since he's openly said he'd love to play Batman. On top of that, people notice that the Batman silhouette shown in Creature Commandos kind of matches Ritchson's huge build, so that only fueled the rumors. But honestly, I see Ritchson more as someone perfect for a role like Bane rather than Bruce. For Batman, I'd rather see someone like Nate Mann type energy, or maybe Tom Brittney. But again, that's all fan talk. Gunn hasn't commented on any of these names at all. The only thing he did say is that the Batman casting will be announced way in advance, so we'll know who it is long before the movie actually comes out. Another big thing is that Andy Muschietti is still attached as the director. He's the guy behind both It movies and also The Flash. When he was asked about how things are going, he said the project is basically ready to go into production. And according to him, Bruce's son, Damian Wayne, is going to play a huge role in the story. He described it as more of a family drama, which already tells us a lot about the kind of story they're aiming for. From what we understand, this Batman in the DCU will already be established. He'll be known, experienced, but not some old broken down version like in The Dark Knight Returns. This won't be a super young year one version either. They're reportedly looking for an actor who's roughly the same age as David Corenswet, which suggests Batman and Superman will be portrayed as more or less peers, like in the comics. But at the same time, Batman will already have a son, which means they're skipping his origin and a lot of early storylines. That immediately raises questions, because in the comics, before Damian, you've got Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake as Robins. So how are they going to handle that? There are basically two options. One, the Bat family already exists in this universe, and they just don't focus on it much. Or two, they straight up retcon everything and make Damian the only Robin in DCU. And honestly, that second option feels way more likely. So no Nightwing, no Red Hood, at least not for now. Damian would be the first and only Robin we see. And that's totally normal for movies. Movie universes retcon stuff all the time. They could even go as far as replacing Grayson's role entirely, making Damian fill that space as the main partner who eventually becomes something like Nightwing down the line. The idea is simple. Keep it clean, keep it focused, and make the Robin also Bruce's biological son. At the same time, it's important to remember that Matt Reeves is still doing his own Batman universe. He's actively developing the Batman Part 2, and his films won't be affected by Gunn's DCU at all. They're staying completely separate. Reeves is doing his thing, pushing his grounded noir-style Batman world forward. Those movies aren't even part of the Elseworlds banner. But before we really dive into Gotham and Wayne Enterprises in the DCU, the first project that might start hinting at that side of the world is Clayface. That movie is coming next year, and it's shaping up to be a full-on body horror take on one of Batman's most iconic villains. It's a pretty wild choice for a live-action standalone film, not gonna lie. But during production, there have already been tons of recognizable locations and visual hints that suggest we'll get a better feel for this version of Gotham. So even if it sounds like a strange pick, Clayface could end up laying some real groundwork for what Gotham looks like in the DCU. Once that drops, we'll probably have a much clearer idea of what kind of world this new Batman is stepping into, and what we can expect when the Brave and the Bold finally brings Bruce Wayne to center stage. James Gunn recently sat down with Rolling Stone and dropped a bunch of updates about the future of Batman, and honestly, he didn't sugarcoat anything. According to him, Batman is the single biggest creative challenge they're dealing with right now. He's not writing the script himself, but he's working side by side with the writer to make sure they absolutely nail it. One really interesting thing he admitted is that there were internal talks at DC about possibly making Pattinson's Batman the main version for the DCU. In the end, that came down to Matt Reeves wanting to keep his universe separate, but Gunn confirmed that the idea of merging them was seriously discussed at one point. Right now, Gunn says his main focus is getting the Wonder Woman and Batman scripts finished. Outside of the projects already deep in production, those two are the top priorities. And when he was asked straight up if the Batman movie is still called The Brave and the Bold, he said yes for now, even though that could always change later. He also made it very clear what kind of Batman we're not getting. This is not going to be some goofy, campy version of the character. Gunn stressed that Batman has to truly earn his place in the DCU, not just because he's one of Warner Bros.' most famous characters, but because the story actually needs him to be there. He also said this new Batman won't just copy what Matt Reeves is doing, but it won't swing into comedy or lighthearted territory either. Gunn feels like they've found the right direction. Now it's all about making sure the writer can turn that vision into a real working script. So yeah, expect a serious, grounded take on Batman in The Brave and the Bold, one that feels like it belongs in this new DC world and earns its spotlight. He also talked about why Batman is so hard to crack, especially compared to someone like Wonder Woman. With her, it's a bit easier because there haven't been countless versions across movies, shows, and comics. Batman is the total opposite. Gunn pointed out that it feels like half of all DC comics over the last 30 years have featured Batman in some form. He straight up called him the most famous and most popular superhero on the planet, and that's what makes it tricky. Batman is insanely compelling, but he's also at risk of feeling overused if you're not careful. The challenge is to make a Batman movie that doesn't feel like just another retread, but something fresh, fun, and exciting to watch without turning him into a joke or going full comedy. That's the tightrope Gunn and his team are trying to walk with this new DCU Batman. And we also shouldn't forget that in another recent interview, Gunn straight up said that Batman has become boring, and his goal is to bring him back to what he was always meant to be. He openly named Batman the animated series as one of the key inspirations for this new take. He even talked about wanting to build a world with that same kind of vibe, which pretty much hints that we could see multiple villains show up in The Brave and the Bold, not just one. When it comes to potential bad guys, fans are already throwing out a ton of names, and honestly the most logical one is Ra's al Ghul. He's directly tied to Damian, the League of Shadows, and that whole storyline. For some reason, I really feel like we might see Raz, and maybe even Deathstroke too, as part of an adaptation of that arc. It just fits perfectly with where this story seems to be going. At the same time, Gunn has said that Andy Muschietti is aiming for a more unconventional approach with this movie, and Andy himself has confirmed that the relationship between fathers and sons will play a huge role here. Through Batman, they want to leave a meaningful message for the modern world. That kind of talk has made some fans nervous, like the movie might turn into something preachy or dull, all message and no fun. But I don't think that's what they mean. It sounds more like the script will have a strong core idea, a clear emotional spine that drives the whole story. We just don't know yet what that central theme really is. And that's exactly why The Brave and the Bold has so much potential. This isn't just another solo Batman movie. It's a chance to introduce a richer, deeper Gotham, a city built on legacy, mentorship, conflict, and real connections. This feels like the moment for the Bat family to finally step into the spotlight. From the moment Bruce, the heir to the Wayne fortune, chose to become the Caped Crusader, he didn't just start a war on crime, he created a legacy. His crusade inspired a growing circle of heroes and anti-heroes to join his mission and carry it forward in their own ways. And right at the center of that legacy is Damian Wayne, the fourth Robin and Bruce's biological son. Raised in secret by Talia al Ghul and trained from childhood by the League of Assassins, Damian eventually comes face to face with his father and takes up the Robin mantle. His lethal upbringing constantly clashes with Bruce's strict no-kill rule, creating tension, conflict, and drama between them that could easily become the emotional heart of this movie.